Hey everybody, and welcome back to FSI Fantasy Sports Insight. I am McKinley412. I'm one of the NHL coaches here. We got a bigger slate, 6-game slate tonight that we're going to be looking at. Last night, hopefully you guys did well. Things went pretty much according to plan. Shesterkin and Vasilevsky kept the New York Rangers game low total. Kreider and Zibanejad were a great pairing. Tampa Bay's only production came from their top line. Vegas's production came from all of their lines, and Kempe was scored a goal and shot the puck as a mid-tier, just darling once again. So nothing was too surprising last night. Everything kind of went according to plan. Hopefully things can happen like that again tonight, and we can continue making some money. So let's look at the odds first. There's 4 teams that are really standing out in terms of like heavy favorites going up against weaker teams. Carolina is the first one at minus 275. Over-under is 6 in that game. Toronto is the other team going at minus 280. Over-under 6.5. So a lot more. This is, I think, the highest game total on the entire slate, if not tied for the highest game total when you take the juice into account at minus 134. Colorado minus 450. Over under 6.5. They're at home. This is going to be your chalk darling, the chalk team that everybody's going to be flocking towards. Colorado going up against Chicago. And then Edmonton at minus 192, over under 6.5. They're at home hosting Vancouver. So Carolina, Edmonton, Colorado, and Toronto. Those are the 4 teams that, those are clear-cut favorites in high total games. The other games that are on the slate, Boston, Washington, pretty even on the money line. Slight edge to Washington, over under 6, and Seattle, Anaheim, over under 6 as well. Pretty even again on the money line. So let's just kind of go. We're not going to be able to, go team by team, every single team as like a more in-depth, but we still will cover every single game here, kind of go game by game, talk about what it's going to be looking like. You can kind of see. I was just pulling out some salaries because Colorado is going to be really popular here tonight. But we'll start with Toronto. Matthews and Marner. These are your 2 guys that you want to be paying attention to if you're ever going to be playing Toronto. These are your guys. Austin Matthews led the league in goals scored last season. I'll just pull up his stats. 64 goals, 51 assists, 8.4K. He is just incredible. He shoots the puck constantly. He's going to be getting you the shot on net bonus. He's always in line for that 3-point bonus as well. He has slate breaking potential on any slate that he's given. 8.4K, pretty similar price to McKinnon. Pairing him with Marner is pretty much, always in play. When one of these guys scores a goal, it's a very good chance that the other one's going to be on the assist. Or one of the assists. They both skate at even strength. They both skate on the same power play. So Matthews and Marner, match made in heaven in terms of DFS and fantasy production. They do skate on a line with Bunting down here at 5.3K. Bunting doesn't skate on the top power play with them, and really Bunting's floor is pretty much next to nothing. At 5.3K, he's going to need a goal or he's going to need a couple of assists to go his way to be paying off that salary. He is just kind of there to support Matthews, to support Marner. On that top line. So I don't have a whole lot of interest in him. GPP, if you do want to throw him in there on that top line stack, I guess you could do that. And it could work. But as far as like cash games go, Bunting has a very low floor. So you do have to be concerned about that. On that second line, Tavares and Nylander, they're skating together. Those are the 2 big names that are sticking out that people would recognize. Malgin down here at 3.5K. He's kind of like the value play that I'd be looking towards on this Toronto side. He had a fantastic preseason, 4 goals, 4 assists, 8 points. Don't be expecting that during the regular season, that type of like offensive output. But still, he skates on the second line with Tavares and Nylander. He sees power play unit time. He's not on that top power play unit, but he still sees power play unit and that second unit. So you could definitely go Malgin as like a cheaper, even like as a one-off if you really wanted to. But still, 3.5K, he's probably my favorite value play on Toronto. As far as the defense goes, I'll cover defense real quick. As far as defense goes, Riley at 6.8K. Yeah, he's amazing. He's incredible, but I think 6.8K might be a little bit too pricey for him, especially earlier on the season when salaries are kind of deflated. He's still kind of right where, he should be, if not a little bit inflated. So I'm not super interested in Riley. And then the rest of the defense, I'm not too interested, to be completely honest. On the Montreal side of things, I already said that, they're a pretty big underdog. But Toronto on the back end, they've kind of had this mindset as they're like chasing the Stanley Cup that, we're going to win with scoring goals and offense and, not pay too much attention to their defense, not pay attention too much to their goaltending situation. They brought in Matt Murray, Toronto did, to, be their starter, share starter time with Samsonov, who they got from Washington. But it's going to be Matt Murray in net tonight for Toronto. He won the Stanley Cup back in 2017 with Pittsburgh, but it's been 6 years. He's been bounced around to, Ottawa. Now he's in Toronto, and he's not a great goalie anymore. So there is a possibility for like a really deep GPP play. If you want really deep, don't do this as like your first GPP line. But the top line stack for Montreal also shares complete power play time together as well. It's Caulfield, Suzuki, and Anderson. They all skate together at even strength, all skate together on the same power play unit. So maybe those are 3 guys that you want to jam into a GPP if you are going that route. One other guy to mention on Montreal is Slafkovsky, 2.7K. This is the guy who was the number 1 overall pick in the NHL draft this past year. So he doesn't see any power play time. The coach doesn't want him to see any power play time at this time, not because of his talent, but just because he's young. He wants him to get, an understanding of the NHL system, the speed, all that stuff. So yeah. Now to the next game, Boston and Washington. This is a game that has, like I said, the lowest over-under on the entire slate and a pretty even matchup. This is just like 2, teams that have been in it for the playoffs for like the past decade plus. They have star power. They're gritty. They typically play lower scoring games. But so I don't have a whole lot of interest in this game from cash perspective. But, GPP, anything goes, anything's into play. They did Boston, that is. We'll talk about Boston here first. Boston did shake up their top line. Marchand's obviously injured, but they separated Pastrnak and Bergeron, which was always like a DFS pair dream that you would always play. If you had one, you'd always play the other. But they did separate them. Pastrnak's on the second line. Bergeron's on the top line right now. So on the top line on the right wing, it's going to be Jake DeBrusk at 5.2K. So if you want to pair him with Bergeron, you can do that. But pretty much Boston, I'm not super interested. It's the lowest over under on the slate. They're the underdog technically on the slate. Not too thrilled with them there. Taylor Hall 5.7, maybe. On the Boston side of things, Alex Ovechkin, we all know what he can do. But I mentioned that Boston, they're a gritty team. They're strong defensively. It's just kind of how it is. So Ovechkin at 7.8K, I'm not going to be playing him when I can get, McKinnon at 8.2. I can get Austin Matthews at 8.2, I think it was. Or even Connor McDavid for Edmonton. I think he's below 8,000. So it's going to be really tough for me to have any interest in Ovechkin outside of just like a real deep GPP. You're going to pair Ovechkin with Kuznetsov. You're going to pair him with Carlson. Connor Brown skating on this top line with them at 4.4K, but it's kind of like the Bunting situation where it's like, yeah, he skates on the top line with these 2, fantasy monster producers, but, he's got a very limited floor and, there's not much to really like about him. He's priced down there for a reason. Going into the next game, Columbus and Carolina. Carolina is a large favorite. They're one of the 4 teams that I mentioned that we want to be focusing on here tonight. So we'll start with Carolina here. Aho leading the charge on that top line. Aho, Teravainen, and where he is, Seth Jarvis down here at 3.5K. So very affordable. He's even cheaper than Bunting. He's cheaper than Connor Brown by wide margin, and I would say that he has a higher floor than either of those other 2 guys. And the kicker, he also skates on the top power play unit with Aho and Teravainen. So an Aho, Teravainen, Jarvis GPP line stack, awesome. If you want to throw any of these 3 guys into cash, I don't mind them either. All 3 of them are certainly in play. The great thing about Carolina is that their second line also correlates completely on the power play. They skate on the second power play unit, but they also skate at even strength together. Their second line is going to be Svechnikov, Kotkaniemi, and who's the other guy? Oh, Nechas here at 3.4K. super speed with this kid right here, super fast. But they all skate together on the second power play unit. That could even be like a better GPP play because, if people are going to be line stacking Carolina, they're going to go with that top line at home. They can do the line matching however they want. So maybe that second line is a little bit more of a GPP play. And yeah, they're totally fine. Columbus, they're better. They added Goudreau. But am I still terrified of their defense? Not really. Not too much. I think Carolina is going to be doing just fine. On the other side, Columbus, pretty hefty favorite. They did make the big offseason splash of adding Johnny Gaudreau at 6.5K. But yeah, this is still a really young team. They're like the second youngest team in the entire league outside of Buffalo. And, there's going to be some growing pains, but I think that, by season's end, Columbus is a team that we are going to be targeting for, some fantasy games. Their top line is going to be Goudreau, Jenner, and Laine, priced, obviously the most expensive guys there because of that. But Carolina, I mentioned it in a video, I think it was yesterday. Carolina is a team that, they shoot the puck a ton and they do not allow a lot of shots against. So playing, skaters against them is never really truly optimal. Carolina allowed the fewest shots on net in the entire league last year at just like 27.8 shots against per game. So it's never really optimal to play the skaters going up against Carolina. Super cheap GPP at best, but that's what you would be doing. Gaudreau, Laine, Jenner, just staying with that top line. Chinikov, 3.3K. I got high hopes for this kid. I think he can really bust out, score quite a few goals, and I can see his salary raising as we go on throughout the season. Chicago, don't play Chicago. That's just what I'm going to say. Just don't do it. Even in, GPP, just don't play Chicago. They're not going to be winning you a GPP here tonight. Colorado on the other side, this is going to be like the super chalk ultimate. This is the Stanley Cup champions. This is like the best offense in the entire league. And they're at home. They're facing Chicago, the worst team in the entire league. Chicago is depleted. They're already the worst team in the entire league. They're going to be missing 2 of their starting defensemen. And now they got to go up against Colorado. Not going to end well. So Colorado is going to be your super chalk. Leading the charge is going to be McKinnon, Rantanen, and Makar. This is like the 3-headed monster that is going to be starting. That's going to be going throughout the season. Makar, he's defender, but he's essentially an offenseman. 115 points in 97 games. That's just silly. 311 shots on net. He's going to be hitting the shot on bonus routinely. He's not going to hit every single game. Let me scroll down. He's not going to hit every game. But 4 shots on net is like pretty average for Makar, all things considered. He can also get, the block shot bonus for you, along with putting up, video game numbers offensively. So 7.8K, I know it's kind of scary as a price tag for a defenseman, but he's not a defenseman. He is just unreal of what he can do in terms of a DFS fantasy production. So McKinnon and Makar and Rantanen, I would, kind of start your cash games here. You could also throw in Lehkonen if you really wanted to. He is the guy skating with McKinnon and Rantanen on that top line at 4.8K. He's got some talent to him. Not going to deny. He's got talent to him there. So go with that. He skates on the top power play unit with all of these guys. Like all 4 of these guys skate on the same power play unit. So if they score a goal, it's probably good. You're going to get a trifecta goal if they do score a power play goal, a power play 1 unit goal to be more specific. But Lehkonen, I think, is fine at 4.8K. He could be a nice value play, but you could see it easily choose up your salary. So like if we'll just throw in like a mid-tier goalie here. We'll just go with Kemper. 3.6K remaining. It gets real tight real quick. It's going to be tough to find guys, from Toronto, Carolina, and Edmonton who are that cheap that you really want to be targeting. It is possible. It is there. The value is out there. I already mentioned, Jarvis on Carolina could be one guy that you could be targeting. Some cheaper guys in the Toronto game. But yeah, I didn't want to clear that whole thing out. But yeah, Colorado, they're going to be your team that you're going to want to be targeting. With the guys that I mentioned already, Devin Taves, he's more expensive, but I think if you're going to be going up there, just jam in Cale Makar. Find the extra 1,600. I know it's a lot, but just go with Cale Makar. Evan Rodriguez, he's going to be skating on that second line for Colorado, 4.3K. Don't mind him there. Nichushkin, 5.4K. Like, there is cheaper guys down here. Just pay attention to the lines and how Colorado's going to be shaking out. Pay attention to the power play units. You can find all that stuff on Daily Faceoff, Left Wing Lock, Twitter. Just go to Twitter, type in the search bar, Makar, Rantanen, Lehkonen, and, type search. More likely than not, one of the top searches is going to be like a line rush from the morning skate. So go ahead and do that. Vancouver, another team I don't really have a whole lot of interest in. Let's see what the over-under was on this one. I think it was 6.5. Yeah, 6.5, but, Edmonton is a pretty large favorite here at minus 188. Vancouver, they're okay. I mean, this is like another deep GPP play. I don't have a whole lot of interest in them. Hoglander at 3.6K. He was really a fun guy to play last season. He just seemed to always, be doing well. He shot the puck quite a bit. But, he's got goal scoring and, getting on the score sheet was tough for him. But still, he's a guy that was always fun to play. I think it was more so the name than anything else. Kuzmenko, he's going to be skating on that second line for them. He's cheap at 3.3K. Podkolzin, word in Vancouver is that he's going to be taking another step forward here this season. He was just drafted a couple years ago. But 2.7K, super cheap there. So, maybe Vancouver's a place where you can find some value because, the Edmonton defense, kind of like Toronto, doesn't, it can be dicey at times. They play in those higher scoring games, high event games. But yeah, so not a whole lot of interest in Vancouver, all things considered. Edmonton, though, Edmonton. Connor McDavid is just, he's the best hockey player on the entire planet. 7.9K, you're getting him cheaper than McKinnon, you're getting him cheaper than Austin Matthews. 156 points in 96 games last season, just a monster. If Edmonton is scoring a goal, there's a very good chance that Connor McDavid is going to be on the receiving end of it. So 7.9K, it's tough. This is where the lineups tonight get really tricky because the 7.9 for McDavid, we're not going to be seeing that. He is going to be over 9,000 salary in the near future here. But you also don't want to be fading McKinnon at home against the worst team in the entire league who also has, defensive liabilities and defensive injuries that they have to deal with. So, you're not going to be able to throw in McDavid, Makar, and McKinnon and Rantanen. Who are you going to fade? It's tough. It's going to be a tough. I would keep Rantanen in there just because, he has that nice discount at 6.7K and has just as much upside, I think, as a lot of the other guys. So this is where the trickiness and the builds are going to be coming into play. But McDavid, he's a stud. He's amazing. Yeah, if you're new to NHL, McDavid is, he's the Gretzky of this era. So McDavid, Draisaitl, he's the other guy that you certainly want to be paying attention to. They split these guys up, but so they're on different lines at even strength, but they share power play time. But yeah, Zach Hyman, he skates with Draisaitl on the second line, but he does get top power play unit with Draisaitl and McDavid. Evander Kane skates on the top line with McDavid, and he's also going to be skating with Puljujarvi. Puljujarvi, 4K, he's going to be skating on that top power play or that top line at even strength with McDavid, with Evander Kane. So he's certainly in play as a nice cheap play. I don't mind him. He could be one of the values that I turn to. Even in cash games, a cheap guy that I turn to just because he is skating on the top line with McDavid and has shown in the past that he can generate offense. He can put the puck in the back of the net. He can get on the score sheet with assists. So I don't mind him there. Holloway. This is one guy that we do need to talk about. Dylan Holloway, he is another guy that he was a first-round pick back in 2020. He's, finally making his NHL, his move into the NHL. A lot of hype around this kid. He's the young kid on Edmonton that everybody's going to be paying attention to. Everybody's talking about. He does skate on the second power play unit, so, he's not with McDavid or Draisaitl, but he does skate on the second line for Edmonton. So he is going to be skating with Leon Draisaitl and Hyman. So he's certainly going to be in play. 3.8K, maybe he's another guy you want to be turning towards. But I still think I would lean towards Puljujarvi, honestly, if I was going a little bit more value with Edmonton. This final game, not really much to talk about. Lowest over-under, pretty even on the money line. This is a game that's just like, it's the young kids game. There's a lot of like superstar or like will be superstar talent in this game. Matty Beniers at 5.9K. He's like the first like young superstar that's, he could be winning the Calder this season. So I love him, but just not so much on this slate. I just don't have a whole lot of interest in this slate. I'll just be pointing out just all the young studs that are going to be making a name for themselves here in the NHL pretty soon. Mason McTavish at 3.6K. He's going to be another guy you're going to be paying attention to. Shane Wright at 2.7K. He was supposed to be the number one overall pick, and then he dropped to fourth somehow. But Shane Wright at 2.7K. He should have been the number one overall pick. All things considered. Zegras, Enrique, Terry, they're the usual guys from Anaheim that you could be targeting. So I know that video went a little bit longer, but I wanted to break down all the teams. 6-team slate, I think it was still possible. But yeah, Colorado is going to be the team that you want to be paying attention to. Edmonton, I think, and Carolina would be teams that you could be supplementing them with some value plays. Toronto, I think, they're more expensive, so I think Toronto could be more of like a GPP play. You have like Matthews, more expensive than McKinnon. He's more expensive than Makar. He's more expensive than McDavid. So maybe people want to go McKinnon and McDavid, who, are cheaper and carry just as much upside and are on home ice. So I think Toronto just might be a little bit more of a GPP route. But still, I'm not saying like fade them in cash. Like they're still going to be a great play. But maybe people lean more towards the Colorado, Edmonton, and Carolina in cash games. Everything else, I think, is just kind of GPP at this point. But yeah, so hopefully that kind of gave you a nice player pool to build around. Sorry, it went a little bit longer. The videos won't be this long usually. But yeah, so thanks for watching again. We really do appreciate the support. As always, good luck in your contests, and we will see you in the next video.